All right, guys, I think we will go ahead and get started. So, welcome. Thank all of you guys for joining us. We're so excited to see a good turnout today. My name is Becky Latch. I am the Associate Dean of Student Affairs for the UAMS College of Medicine. So we'll be greeting all of your students when they start next Tuesday. We're getting so excited to see them and get them started. So I hope they and y'all are as equally as excited as we are. I am going to start off today. Our plan for today is I'm going to go through a few slides, just kind of introducing you guys to the people who make up the undergraduate medical education office for the College of Medicine for the students. Um, and then I will talk a little bit about what your students will be starting on and what this M1 year will look like for them and just some things to help them as they are going through the year. And then Miss Debbie Davis, who is the president of our Parents Club, is going to kind of take over and talk from her perspective about what are some good things that you guys can do to support your student, your loved one who is starting medical school. We are manning the chat, so feel free to put any questions you have in the chat or unmute yourself. We're very casual around here, so whatever works best for you. I did go ahead and put in the chat a link to a onboarding, it's actually the link to our onboarding website, but included in that is our kind of guide for friends and families that we have developed that gives you some ideas of what things your student will be doing this year. It has some common terminology that if you're not a medical student, you might not know what they're talking about. So just some resources for you to look at when they start saying things that don't make any sense to you. You can use that to try and understand this new language that they may be speaking. So, all right, I am going to share my screen for just a second. Let's see. I hope I am anyway. Okay. All right. So, welcome, as I said, to the UAMS College of Medicine. The first thing I wanted to remind you all is that the white coat ceremony will be happening next Friday at the end of our M1 Welcome Week for our students. And that is really a very meaningful and important event for the students. So if you don't have already plans to attend that, please try and make some time in your schedule. It really is something that's it's a very poignant moment for the students to have that short white coat put on them. They also read the medical student oath, which is modeled after the Hippocratic Oath. And it's a very touching ceremony, and it really means a lot to the students. So if you don't have that on your calendar, please put it on your calendar. The Little Rock ceremony will be at Robinson Center. It begins at 6:30 p.m. Doors will open at 5:30 p.m. If you're not familiar with Robinson Center in Little Rock, it is downtown, so there's plenty of street parking around. If you are prefer, there's also the Doubletree Hotel parking lot next door, that's very convenient. There will probably be a small parking fee for using that. It's usually an event parking fee is about $10, but it is probably the most convenient place to park for Robinson Center. We will be connected to the Northwest Arkansas campus for their white coat ceremony as well. It's being held at the Schmeeding Center that is in Springdale. I put the address on here on North Thompson Street. It also will begin at 6:30. Doors will also open at 5:30. I think parking is much easier at the Schmeeding Center. You can just park right outside of it. We will connect with Northwest Arkansas for the majority of the ceremony for the speaking part. Unfortunately, this year, we are not going to be able to live stream both groups getting their coats put on them. So we'll separate when it comes time for the students to come to the stage to get their coats. But for the most of the ceremony, we'll be together. So I wanted to start off just talking to you guys a little about who are some people that you may hear your student talking about, or who are people to know in our College of Medicine undergraduate medical education office. So Dr. James Graham is the Executive Associate Dean of the College of Medicine. So for those of you who don't have a lot of history or background in what medical school looks like, I would say he's the principal. So he is who helps us keep track of all of the things that are going on, works with the students and with the faculty. Jennifer, is Dr. Graham on? I don't. He was going to.
I don't think I have seen him pop in yet.
Okay. So some of these people are joining the Zoom and some weren't sure they were going to be able to make it, but Dr. John Spallin is the Regional Associate Dean for the Northwest Arkansas campus. So if your student is going to be on the Northwest Arkansas campus, Dr. Spallin is the person that they will see the most, who will help them with any problems that they're having. I've already introduced myself, Becky Latch. I'm the Associate Dean of Student Affairs. I am a pediatrician by training and work clinically at Arkansas Children's, but I'm excited to be in the Academic Affairs office. This is a little bit of a new role for me. I just started in February, so I feel like this class of students and I will be learning together, which is very fun. Dr. Karina Clemens is our Assistant Dean of Medical Education. If anybody is on the Zoom while I'm talking, please feel free to unmute yourself and introduce yourself personally. Dr. Lindsay Sword is our Assistant Dean of Clinical Education. Dr. Sword just texted me and said she's going to be late joining, but she'll hop on here in a little bit. She is an obstetrician. Dean Sharanda Williams is our Assistant Dean of Student Affairs. Jennifer Van Echo keeps me sane. She is our undergraduate medical education project manager and who helped us put all this together. So
hey guys.
She's our person. Miriam, I know I saw Miriam on here. Miriam, you want to unmute yourself?
Hello.
Miriam
Welcome, everybody.
She's our M1 student coordinator. So she helps all of our students keep track of all of the assignments they're supposed to be doing, helps them follow through with their look and see what their grades are, those kinds of things. Hillary O'Meara is our M1 student coordinator for the Northwest Arkansas campus. And then Tasha Lewis is our College of Medicine undergraduate of medical education office manager. So she also helps us keep track of where everyone is at any given moment. So you may hear your students talking about these people. This is what all of our roles are, although we are quite the team and we all pitch in at any given moment if someone else needs to take care of something. Oh, goodness. All right. So if you are just wondering, I'm seeing a few people on the call who look like they may be doctors. So parents who are doctors have some history of what medical school looks like, but I promise you it is different than what it looked like when you went through medical school. So I thought I'd just talk a little bit about what the M1 year is going to look like for your students. So we'll start M1 Welcome Week next Tuesday. And that will be a whole week of just getting to know one another, introducing them to kind of important things that they need to know, resources that they have, going through a lot of those things. And then class actually starts on August 12th, and they will start in human structure. So when I was in medical school, that was called gross anatomy, but now we have changed the name and a little bit of how that is laid out. And it really, they will do one module at a time. So as opposed to several years ago when they would do things at the same time, we really are trying to help them focus on mastering one set of curriculum at a time. So human structure goes from August through September. And then molecules to cells, which has some biochemistry, some genetics, things like that. It will be October to December. Those are two of the longer courses. They'll go on winter holiday, and when they return, they'll start disease and defense, which is obviously immunology, microbiology, those kinds of things. That lasts about a month, so through the month of January, and then they start hematology. Hematology is also about a month, and then the longest course for their M1 year is brain and behavior. So both neuroanatomy and behavioral sciences, a lot of content in brain and behavior, and that spans from March to the end of the academic year in May. Threaded all throughout this is the Practice of Medicine 1 course, which is a lot of clinical skills, learning how to take a history from a patient, those kinds of things. So, how do we support your students? So, one of the things I really wanted to let you guys know are the things that are available to your student if you need them, the resources that we have for them. One, our entire office has an open door policy. It is very rare for me to close my door. And if it is, it's because I'm either on a Zoom or there's something I really need to get done. And I like to talk too much. So, I have to shut my door to get it done. But for the most part, if you come in our office, my door is open, Dr. Graham's door is open. All of us are happy to visit with students and help them troubleshoot if they're having some difficulty with things. Can always be their first step. We also at UAMS have learning communities. We call them academic houses. We have 7 academic houses, 6 on the Little Rock campus and 1 on the Northwest Arkansas campus. In that academic house, we have 4 clinical house advisors and 2 basic science house advisors. And each student is assigned 1 clinical advisor from the day they start medical school. We ask them to meet with those advisors a minimum of twice a year, once in the fall and once in the spring. But frequently, they really form a strong relationship and collaboration with those advisors, and they may reach out to them periodically throughout the year if they need other help or other thoughts on how things are going. We also do some other things with the academic houses. In the past, we have had an academic house Olympics, and despite the fact that this is an Olympic year and we really missed our opportunity, I think we're going to take a pause on the academic house Olympics this year and are planning a 5K fun run and that we want all of our students and our students' families to participate in. So be asking your student about different events like that. So their academic house advisors are also a huge support to our student. The Student Success Center exists within our library, and we have multiple education and learning specialists who can work with students if they're struggling. So if we have a student who is having difficulty with the volume of material involved with learning in human structure or whatever course, the learning specialist can do an assessment with them and try and figure out kind of where the problem is and apply different resources to help them. We also have student tutors. So M2 students may tutor some of our M1 students if they are having some difficulty mastering the content. I think that one other big area that we want to make sure we are supporting our students in is their mental health and wellness. So we do have the Student Wellness Center that is on our campus. We have a psychiatrist and several counselors and therapists who are available for our students at any time. They are incredibly responsive and helpful to our students. Sometimes when I see a student who's struggling with their academics, it may be a difficulty learning the content. Sometimes it has other things that are embedded in that, like anxiety and depression and things like that. And our Student Wellness Center is incredibly helpful in helping us work with those students and get them the help they need. We do meet usually weekly during the school year with the course directors and the deans that I mentioned on that first slide for an academic success monitoring meeting and try and help keep a global overall bird's eye view of how students are doing. And if we see that a student has been doing academically very well and now is struggling some, we take that opportunity to reach out to the student and see what's going on and if there's an opportunity that we can help them at all. So we do try to not just put it all on the student to come to us and ask for help, because as most of you know, your students have been extremely successful so far and sometimes don't like to ask for help. So we try to also offer help at the time that we see that somebody may need it. So a few ideas for you guys just from our perspective about how you can support your student. One, you can download the Friends and Family Support Guide that I mentioned. I put the link for that in the chat if you would like to download it. You can join the Parents Club, which Ms. Davis is going to talk about a little bit more. I think that the biggest thing for me is that I want you guys to know that this may be the hardest thing your student has ever done. Medical school is incredibly difficult. And you have students who have been so successful up until now. They have always been at the top of their class and certainly above average and really mastered everything that they did very easily. And now they're in a group of 174 other students who are just like them. And that sometimes is very hard for students to have been at the top of everything they have done. And now the population that they're with has shifted. And the volume of information that they have to learn in medical school is incredibly large, a large volume of information and difficult sometimes to master. So be a listening ear to them, understand that if they say they're really struggling, they probably are really struggling, and offer just to listen. And if they have forgotten about some of those resources that I mentioned, you certainly can ask them to come see me, come talk to us, come see our Student Success Center. We are here to help them. We are also here to help you. So if you are struggling with what to say to your student, if you're not sure how you can help them, please reach out to us. We're happy to help. I will just couch that a little bit with there are federal privacy laws that go along with that. Your students are all adults now, so I cannot share with you their academic history or how they're performing academically. But certainly if you have concerns, that's what we're here for, is to talk you through it and help you figure out how you can help your student too. So I'm going to pass it off now to Miss Davis.
Okay, just got myself unmuted. Thank you so much, Dr. Latch. I also wanted to introduce another board member that's on here with me today, Martha Bartels, who was the president last year. So thank you, Martha, for joining us. And Dr. Latch and Jennifer had asked us to show up today to just see if we could share some ideas about how our students have coped and how we've helped them, and just answer any questions you all might have. But before we jump into that, I thought I would just give you a broad overview of what the Parents Club is. You might have received the letter when your student got their acceptance package, but we all know how young adults can be sometimes, and they probably went straight to the important stuff and threw the things for the parents to the side. So we will be at the white coat ceremony in both locations next Friday night. So feel free to stop by and meet us. We'll have more information, and would love to get to meet you all and talk to you in person. But the UAMS College of Medicine, it's important that we say College of Medicine because this Parents Club is only for the College of Medicine. This group or club has been together since the mid-70s. So that's kind of cool that, for decades, there's been groups of parents wanting to pour into their students and into the school. So it's looked a little different. It's evolved some. And then, of course, when COVID came, we kind of took a hiatus. But so I'm just going to tell you what it's looked like the past 2 years since Martha and I have been involved. It's very much in a rebuilding mode. We are just trying to get parents to join and engage. And you'll see if you scan the QR code or go to the website, it's a $50 membership fee. So what we do with the money, and we are largely a fundraising entity because we want to be able to help students with different things. And you'll see there's a long list of anything from giving money to the classes for the Olympics that Dr. Latch was referencing, money to the M4 students to get headshots made. For the white coat ceremony this week, we embroider the coats. We give money towards match day for the party. But I think most importantly, we try to help students individually. A lot of time kids do research projects and travel, get invited to lots of different conferences to share their research, which is, of course, important for their resumes and residency applications. But we all know that med school is expensive, and added expenses are oftentimes not welcome or even doable for that fact. So last year we helped several M3s attend conferences by giving them a stipend for airfare, meals, hotels. which really made it possible for them. We weren't faced with this last year, but if anybody is, facing a hardship, if there's a death in the family, if there's a child being born, any sort of life unexpectancies, we want to be able to be there to help. So that's largely what we do, is fundraise and be there to help the students. But we also want to be there for, fellowship and camaraderie, and to be there for one another, because, we all know if your kids are stressed, then a lot of times we're stressed, and it's nice to be able to talk to someone that's in a similar situation to you, and maybe even bounce ideas off of each other about what they did if they were faced with a certain scenario. So last spring, we held a student and family and faculty event at the Traveler Stadium here in Little Rock, and had lunch and watched the baseball game, and it was a nice event that we plan to do again next spring. So, but again, we need people to help us with these, fun ideas and activities. So we would love for you to join the club and get involved. We meet once a month. So the first step is to just join, and then you'll start receiving the information. Martha, anything I left off that might be important to say about the Parents Club?
No, I think you did a good job. If anybody has questions, just email, all that information. If you scan that QR code and get to our website, you can find the link to email Debbie, and she can answer any questions that you have.
Yeah, so Dr. Latch, I don't know if you want to open it up to questions. I took a look at the handbook she was mentioning, and I would definitely say go download that. There's a lot of great information in there. And if your student doesn't have the handbook, make sure they get a copy too.
I did put a link or the QR code in the chat, so that if you missed it on the slide I had earlier, you can scan in the chat and get a link to the Parents Club site. Can they also join Parents Club through that site?
Yes, if you go to the website there, you'll see where you could join, and there's a couple different options. If you want to commit to, the reoccurring payment over the next 4 years, if you want to join once and never have to pay again, or you can do it on an annual basis. So there's a few options there, and it should be pretty easy. There's also our website. Our email address is out there. So if you have any issues, feel free to send an email and we'll help you out.
Yeah, we are happy to answer any questions if anybody wants to put any in the chat or unmute and ask. Oh, I do see Dr. Sword joined us, so you want to unmute and say hello, Lindsay, so you pop up?
Yeah, sure. Hey, everybody. Sorry, I'm a little bit late. I am Lindsay Sword. I am an OBGYN by training, and I'm the Assistant Dean for Clinical Education. So kind of in charge of your students as they go through mostly as they go through their clinical rotations in their 3rd and 4th years.
Thank you, Dr. Sword. I think a few other, so I kind of went through what the M1 year looks like for your students. I didn't want to overwhelm y'all with too much information, but certainly the Friends and Family Guide goes through what M2, M3, M4 year looks like. It also has what the milestones are, or what we kind of think are important events for students, including kind of the white coat ceremony. The other big one for our M1 students is after human structure, which is essentially gross anatomy. In October, we will have a ceremony to honor the patients who donated their bodies for our students to learn on. So that is also a very meaningful ceremony. And just like Ms. Davis said, we really depend on the Parents Club to help us with many of these events. That event and our transition to clerkships event, certainly we could not pull those off without help from the Parents Club.
Well, and I'll just add, you know, as you look at this handbook, you know, it goes through things about, you know, it's almost like parenting 101, just, you know, being encouraging, checking on your student, you know, reminding them to keep things in perspective. And just to remind all of you, you know, you've poured into your child. That's why they're here. I mean, I'll get emotional about it, but I mean, I'm sure behind every successful child is someone that loved them and poured into them. So I would just say, you know, you've done this, you know why they're here, and there's probably nobody more proud of them than you. So just keep encouraging them and supporting them. And there will be times where they're exhausted and they might want to quit, but they probably said that to you before too. So just keep it all in perspective. And I have a M4 and an M2 this year. I will say the second time around, I've known a little bit better what to do. but you know what you're doing. So just keep loving and supporting them and listening and encouraging and go to the white coat ceremony. You won't want to miss it.
I will tell you, I put together this friends and family guide. Dr. Sarah Tarek, who was my predecessor, I think already had it in her list of things that she wanted to do. But I have a 10-year-old and a 24-year-old. And the 24-year-old went to the Air Force Academy and he told us nothing. We knew nothing. It was like, oh, there's this big ceremony in Colorado Springs in 3 days that you're supposed to come to. And we had no idea until, you know, we just happened to learn about it. So I felt like for some of you whose students may not be the best communicators, like my 24-year-old is, this might be helpful for you guys to kind of think in advance what's coming up and have things to ask them about. So he has gotten a little bit better with that with time now that he's graduated, but still we randomly find out about things that we were like, huh, that would have been nice to know about that a couple of weeks ago. So. I will add that this, you know, we advertise this session as for friends and family. So I think I see a lot of people who are parents on here. I think I also see some people who are significant others and spouses. We are here for everyone. So please, you know, if you're not a parent, you can also join the parent club, even if you are a significant other or a spouse. We also, one of our students who actually did have a baby back in October, we were working with her to kind of figure out how to streamline the process of coming back to medical school after you've had a baby. And one of the things she was really interested in was starting a group for spouses and students who have children. So you will get information if you are a student with a spouse, or if you're the spouse of a student, you will get information about that. And they are planning on doing some really fun things. So keep an eye out for that too. I am also in my, I don't do well with silence. I don't know if y'all have figured this out yet. But in the chat, I'm going to put my email address. So if you have questions later that you want to email me and ask, please feel free. It is, I'm happy to answer whatever I can for y'all.
And I will absolutely do the same.
Okay. Well, if there are no questions, we are happy to wrap up. If you think about later, hey, I wish they would have told us something else at this meeting, please reach out to us. This is the first time we've done this, and we want this to be valuable to y'all. So certainly, if you have ideas of things that we could have included, then please let us know. But if we don't have any questions, I think we can close it out for now.